tell me when we're. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. Good morning. The Washington State University Board of Regents will now convene our January 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. And just for everybody, context wise, this is day 2 of our 2-day process. Yesterday we had a very full day and our committee chairs will be reporting on all of those details. And I just think that we go through so much information and I just wanted to connect the dots on our context. And before we get started, I'd like to first acknowledge that we are on the lands of which Washington State University stands, are acknowledging the original stewards. We respectfully acknowledge that Washington State University's locations statewide are on the homelands of Native peoples who have lived in this region from time immemorial. The university expresses its deepest respect for and gratitude towards these original and current caretakers of the region. I'd also like to acknowledge our faculty, our staff, our students, our leadership, our volunteer regents, and the greater Washington State University community. A lot of work and preparation goes into getting ready for these sessions. And I just wanted to acknowledge that effort and sincerely thank everyone. Also, this room is a little small. We have an overflow room next door. So if you see people coming in and out, we're just managing our logistics. The meeting is open to the public and is also live streamed on YouTube. So thanks again for your feedback out there. Yesterday, I was monitoring the attendance. We had about 60 people online participating with us. The live stream link, along with the recordings of the past meetings, can be accessed through our Board of Regents websites. And so for the record, I would now ask Tracy Burdall to take a roll call of the Regents.
I call your name, please say here. Brett Blankenship.
Here.
Enrique Serna.
Here.
Marty Dickinson.
Here.
Amina Hussein.
Here.
Sam Hunt.
Here.
Tracy Klein.
Here.
Doug Pika.
Here.
Jen Ramos.
Here.
Lisa Schauer is not present. Howard Wright is not present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Tracy. Before I get started, also, I would like to thank Dean Mason for a tremendous tour this morning. So we are here at the Spokane campus and we just walked through the simulation labs and learned a lot once again about our nursing program. I'd like to thank the president for hosting us and our provost, Chris Riley Tillman, who also kept us quite on time this morning. He's a great timekeeper, I'm finding out. So thank you for that. And just one factoid that we're really proud of, we graduate about 200 nurses a year, the most nurses in all of the state of Washington. And so every time we go through one of these sessions, we learn so much and appreciate that. The Board of Regents welcomes public comment at all of our meetings, and we'll now hear from those who have submitted a request to make a public comment. If you wish to make a public comment at a future meeting, you may do so by submitting an online request at regents.wsu.edu, emailing regents@wsu.edu, or reaching out to the board assistant, Tracy Jordahl. The next scheduled opportunity to address the board will be today, and then of course our March meeting. The board will neither discuss or debate topics raised in public comment. This is not because the board does not value our comments that we receive, but because the board wishes to provide our open time when the public is notified and such discussions will occur in the future. Regents may ask clarifying questions of those providing comment. For speakers who are in person, I will announce your name when it's your opportunity to speak. And at that time, please come to the presenter's table. For speakers participating virtually, you will remain muted until I call your name. And at that time, the moderator will unmute you. Once you've provided your comment, the moderator will return You too. Before you address the Regents, please take a moment to introduce yourself. We just love learning about people who come join us at these meetings, and we would ask that you try to keep your comments to 2 minutes. So I believe we have one request this morning. Tracy, is this up to date in front of me?
It is.
Okay, great. So I'd like to welcome John Conlon, and he is virtual. Hi, John. Oops, we can't hear you. Oh, no, he's frozen. John, we can't hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry.
There you are. Okay, could you please introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yes, my name is John Conlon. I'm studying here at Washington State in Pullman. This is my final semester. I'm studying environmental science. I'm also the vice chair of the Pullman Student Environmental Sustainability Alliance, and I'm heavily involved in the AAPI community here in Pullman. I'm also a member of Fossil Free WSU, and I'm currently helping organize a peaceful rally here in the spring to protest the millions of dollars in the consolidated endowment that's being invested in fossil fuels. I've invited both campus and community organizations here in Pullman to participate. More than 75 United States colleges and universities have committed to divest from oil, gas, and coal, and that includes our direct academic and athletic rivals, the University of Washington. And my personal question is, what's holding the Cougars back? As we know, fossil fuel investments are immoral. They've caused billions of extra healthcare dollars a year in the United States to be spent, have polluted multiple Washington family homes, water, and air, and has led to the intensification of natural disasters like the recent floods we saw in Washington here in December. I know that enrollment and sponsorship is a large deal with the university, and from my personal belief, if you want to increase your population of students, get rid of the fossil fuel investments and let people know about the divestment. Expand scholarships in clean energy fields, like how in Pullman they do have efforts for nuclear energy, a replaceable source of energy for fossil fuels. This can bring back the college and its past glory. I know many students currently enrolled today have taken part in previous actions, like in the 2016 student environmental walkout that I personally participated in when I was in school. And we all know that our future hitches on the actions of institutions like WSU on clean energy. We currently have over 1,000 signatures on fossil fuels divestment student petition. I hope that you contact me. I'm sure you have my information through sign up if you have further questions. And thank you for your time. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Thank you, John. Tracy, do we have any late breaking ads? Okay. Appreciate that. Oh, he's gone. Okay, well, thanks. That's our only public comment for today. And now I will proceed with the chair report. And as we go through the day, we'll hear from our shared governance groups. And so let me start by sharing with you that the Regents, and it's such a privilege to work with each and every one of you. We all take a great amount of time in between meetings to be out in the community, to advance and advocate for Washington State University. Our hearts, our minds, our treasure are all engaged in Washington State University. So evidence of that is going to be these activities that I'm going to share with you now. We are in absolute support of President Cantwell, elevating and highlighting all of the exciting research, student achievements, athletic successes, and signature events that showcase the strength and impact of WSU. Our involvement reflects a deep commitment to academic excellence, student experience, and the Cougar spirit. In addition to what I will highlight, I would invite the Regents. So this is your notice. Please chime in here to go ahead and share anything that I have missed after I go through this. Following the Regents November meeting, where we heard more about the WSU system-wide redesign process that's underway, all of the Regents completed the online survey as well as one-on-one interviews with members of the Co-Design Council, providing insight into regional needs, philanthropic priorities, community partnerships, student success, and emerging opportunities across the state as we consider the WSU student of 2035. In mid-November, Regent Klein, along with other faculty members, met with state legislators on the Pullman campus. On December 5th, Regent Serna and Hussein attended the multicultural graduation celebration, an event that is supported by the African American Student Center, Asian Pacific Islander, Desi American Student Center, Chicanx and Latinx Student Center, Native American Student Center, and the Multicultural Student Center. And Regent Serna, a very popular keynote speaker, provided closing remarks. And I think you're heading to Pullman again today. Regents Blankenship, Serna, and Hussein participated in the fall commencement ceremony on December 6th, honoring the class of 2025. Regents Blankenship and Serna also supported the head football coach, Herbie Moore, by attending the December 16th introductory press conference. On December 22nd, Regents Blankenship, Hussein, and Pika cheered the Cougars onto a victory at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl game. On January 8th, Regent Pika and I attended the Cascadia Sustainable Aviation Accelerator launch event at Bean Field, joining President Cantwell, Governor Bob Ferguson, and other regional and industry leaders. It was a great event, my old stomping grounds. While WSU researchers from 8 programs across 3 colleges will help to advance work to rapidly scale the production and adoption of sustainable aviation fuel. Also, I joined Carson College of Business Dean Debbie Pompo on January 15th to attend the Puget Sound Business Journal's Economic Outlook event in Seattle, joining other local executives and industry leaders to hear expert predictions and analysis on the economic landscape in the upcoming year, as challenging as that is. Regent Serna and Lisa Schauer traveled to Hawaii. I want that one.
That was tough.
Yeah. To attend the WSU Alumni Association event in Honolulu, bringing together alumni and friends from across the islands and celebrating aloha. In September 30th. Okay, so that's our report just for activities. Did I miss anything from November? Wait. Oh, sorry there.
Yeah, I'd like to just include that I've had the opportunity, I'm getting up to speed on foundation meetings. As I get to be a part of be the liaison. So that is just drinking a little bit from a fire hose of just learning, but appreciate the process. I just would like to thank Provost Riley Tillman for his partnership. I had the opportunity to spend time at both the food pantry here on this campus, as well as the food pantry in the Tri-Cities with students and faculty that are just doing amazing things in both those spaces, and really just appreciate the dedication to making sure our students are able to have access to healthy, affordable food, and appreciate WSU's willing to really kind of double down and help those groups. So, and then lastly, I had the good fortune and would like to say a special thank you to President Cantwell and to our interim athletic director, John Harlow, for being invited to interview the final candidates for our football coach. So,
Thank you, Regent Dickinson. Anyone else? Regent Hussein?
Well, I wanted to say, first of all, it's been it's past now, but happy Martin Luther King Day. WSU observes the holiday on Monday, so we didn't have school. Last year, me and Provost Chris Riley Tillman had the opportunity to sit on a panel, talk about the National Day of Racial Healing. And usually WSU hosts a big event at the Compton Union building to discuss the importance of collaboration and Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. this year I had the opportunity to go back to my previous high school, Everett High School, go Seagulls. And I was able to go there and be a representative of the Cougs. And I talked about the importance of collaborating and being a community in unison. And I spoke to a previous teacher and I told her that I was a Coug now. And she was like, when you said go Cougs, I couldn't help but say, go Cougs. And that kind of just revitalized that sense of pride, that sense of community that Cougs have, no matter where you are. And a teacher teaching in high school and still having the capabilities to go to school and get a degree with the assistance of WSU. So that's how I spent my MLK day.
That is excellent. Thank you, Regina Hussein. Sure, of course.
Since Doug's not going to say it, some sincere appreciation to Regent Pika, who spent 2 days in Spokane in December. That's right. It's all at this time. Really helping work with the leadership team here and working with us back and forth to really think about what our system would look like and how we're going to work together, et cetera. It ended up being a really nice precursor to yesterday's presentation. And Regent Dickinson might have buried the lead. Significant thanks to SDCU for a significant donation to our food pantry and to our student clubs or organizations here. Not only was it incredibly generous and incredibly useful, it also helped highlight some areas of where we might have been underfunding students on this particular campus, which we've now talked with students and rectified some of those changes. So.
Thank you for highlighting our shy regents. Anything else I miss? Regent Senna, anything? Okay. Great. So I would like to transition to a recognition event here on September 30th. That was a special day. It was the last year of our first appointed faculty regent who completed her term. And Dr. McDonald, Regent McDonald, is here today. Thank you, Judy, for coming back. And apologies for the tardiness of this recognition. We had some logistics challenges.
We definitely handled things very well.
So I'm going to put you in the hot seat and share some remarks and read a commendation recognizing your service. And at the conclusion of this commendation, I will ask for a vote to adopt the resolution. And this is the resolution. Whereas on October 6, 2022, Governor Jay Inslee appointed Professor Judy McDonald to the Washington State University Board of Regents, making history as the first ever faculty regent to serve on the board. And whereas Regent McDonald has completed her term with distinguished service to the university, exemplifying a deep commitment to Washington State University's mission, values, and academic excellence. And whereas Regent McDonald has provided a unique and invaluable perspective rooted in academic scholarship, shared governance, and a deep understanding of the faculty experience. And whereas Regent McDonald's presence on the board has elevated the voice of faculty in institutional decision-making, contributing meaningfully to governance, strategic planning, and a presidential transition. And whereas Regent McDonald has been a steadfast advocate for student success, equity, and access to higher education, supporting initiatives that enhance the academic experience and the well-being of students across the Washington State University system. And whereas Regent McDonald's scholarly expertise, integrity, and collaborative spirit have enriched the board's deliberations and strengthened the university's trajectory, bridging administration and faculty with clarity, respect, and purpose. And whereas the regents, administration, faculty, staff, and students of Washington State University have greatly benefited from her wisdom, integrity, and steadfast commitment to the institution. Now therefore be it resolved that Professor Judy McDonald be commended for her exemplary service and dedication to Washington State University and the state of Washington. And be it further resolved that the Board of Regents of Washington State University, speaking on behalf of the entire Cougar community, expresses its deep gratitude and appreciation for the contributions of Regent McDonald and wishes her continued success in all future endeavors. This commendation is being presented now to the Board of Regents for adoption. I move that the Board of Regents adopt resolution number 260123-745. Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion to add to our resolution? Now is the time to test her blushing capacity.
Can we comment?
Sure.
Judy, you were the pioneer. It's hard to imagine any more fitting person in this faculty role as Board of Regent than you. And I learned so much from you. You gave us so much. Thank you for your mentorship and just what you brought. We miss you. We promise me you'll stay in touch.
Sure.
Judy, I just enjoyed learning to everything about what you do, how passionate you are about teaching students, but more than anything else, building a friendship with you. It's really great. And we'll continue. Whatever. So thank you so much.
Regent Dickinson.
What I have appreciated with serving with you 2 different times on this board is your approach to, you're curious and and open to wanting to understand, and often knowing that you might have been on the other side of an issue. Your curiosity, again, is something that I tried to learn and model the same behavior at times. So I think you were just your natural gift of kind of effervescence, intellect, and curiosity just spilled over, teaching many of us how to be better individuals of just learning and listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Regent Hussain.
Judy was the first regent that I met. She emailed me quickly after my appointment and confirmation and had lunch with me. And I remember our conversation being around the premise of knowing when to take your regent hat on and knowing when to put it back on. And I think that discussion has been instrumental in my capacity to be a regent and reminds me of not only the student commitments that I have, but also the regent commitment that I have to my institution. So I really do thank you for your kindness and how welcoming you are.
Provost Chris.
I don't get to actually vote on this, so it kind of bums me out a little bit.
That no vote that you
Right,
really
so when
don't.
when I don't vote and everybody's on YouTube, it's because I don't have a vote. I've commented on this a number of times. The ability for both faculty governance and the overall academic governance structure of the university, my office, faculty senate, the board, the president's office, for that to work efficiently together is sadly rare and unusual. And I'm probably in a unique position that I really could see, one of the key factors that helped that happen on a daily basis was Judy, right? And whether that was things that were blowing up at the university or the board level or more internally, the goal of this position had to be to front faculty governance. And you have done such an amazing job. I don't know how many phone calls we had a year and a half. I know Tracy's going to do a wonderful job in the same position, but you really set a model for what this can be so that the board, the president's office, the provost office, faculty senate can legitimately work together and get stuff done. And it's just hard to express how rare, important, unusual, and how much we owe you for that being the case right now.
Thank you.
So all those in favor to the resolution? Say yea.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, resolution will move forward. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we have a fancy plaque. And some commemorative items. Here we go. And I have to say, I treasure my autographed book of linear algebra. Judy is the author of an amazing textbook. It used to be one of my favorite subjects, but yeah, it was long ago. So I'll have to go back to the text.
Nice.
Thank you. Well, you can, why not?
I'm programmed now to go for 50 minutes.
A faculty member microphone.
Yeah. I just want to say what an incredible honor it has been to be a part of this group, the Regents, the president, provost, and all the people. I look around this room and they're all people that I know. And since I've left, I feel like I lost my social group because so many of you became not just colleagues, but close friends during the time that I was on the Board of Regents. I look at the challenges facing higher ed, and I think about each of the people that have served as regent while I've been a regent, and I think I'm so glad that I have this cohort of really intelligent, gifted, thinking, compassionate people to continue to work on behalf of my institution through these challenges. And so I look at Tracy when we were, going through the process of choosing a new regent. I really wanted someone like Tracy or the other two candidates that were nominated to have this chance. I've learned so much being a part of it and grown as a person. And, Ken, your shared governance, our chair of faculty senate, bringing shared governance again to the board, to our university. I appreciate you all so much. And it's been a pleasure to have this position and to know you all better. Thank you so much.
Come back anytime.
Hey,
You're now a
you
bag
come to
lady.
Pullman once a year. It'll be easy.
You're now a bag lady.
That is one tough act to follow. So, but Dr. Cantwell, President Cantwell is next up. So twisted.
Apparently people like a even louder president's voice than the one we have. So president's report is always more information in the written material than you're going to hear in the 20 minutes that we have to present and answer questions. So I really do encourage you and anybody who's listening to read the actual material. You're getting an actual printout, I think, of the written report. As you know, we are trying to frame the report in the context of the system enterprises. So we have an academic enterprise, we have an athletic enterprise, we have an operational enterprise, et cetera. So that you're really clear, at least in what context the particular material is being presented. So 3 things before I start. One is enormous gratitude to everybody who not only does the work, but then has to document it and send it to me so I can put it together into the president's report. This is, as has been repeatedly said, an amazing team. I would literally be nothing without them. And so I am always going to point that out before we get this kind of information. This is just me presenting. The second thing is, as has been mentioned several times, we do have an ongoing system design process that is meant to help us answer the question, what functions do we need to be serving as a land grant system in approximately a decade? And how do we make sure that we're designing to be what we want to be, not what we are forced to be under the many, many, many constraints that we are experiencing right now, so that we are moving the institution in the right direction. However, every time you hear a president's report, what you're going to hear is that we have lots of things change included that we have to do right now because we can't wait. That process takes time because we are actually listening to many, many members of the different communities that we serve. And if we didn't take the time to do that, we would really be remiss in doing a design process. However, this reflects what is actually happening. And I think I'll leave it at that and get started. So I'm going to read through some of these and hopefully leave a little bit of time for questions. In terms of the academic enterprise, here's some strategic highlights, some of which you'll hear more about because they're in process, they're not done, and some of them won't be done forever. You'll hear updates constantly. We're looking at a process that increases both retention efforts and strategic enrollment. And if you have listened to Provost Riley Tillman at all, you will understand that they are part and parcel of the same perspective on serving students better, making, we have had an obsessive focus on enrollment only for the last 5 years or so. That is not the picture we need to be focused on. We need to be focused on who comes to us, enrollment, and how well they succeed through an entire course of effort that leads to a degree, and that is retention. So they are together. We've brought the National Institute for Student Success, thank you, which is a group that does this for universities like ours all over the country, is executing a pretty comprehensive process, which, as many do, starts with a student and stakeholder survey. That is ongoing. The Provost Office does remain keenly focused on first-year enrollment and transfer student enrollment, but we are very focused on student success. We've implemented a workload policy. So there is a workload policy task force, which the Provost Office established last year being 2025, to beta test a new workload policy. That effort has had significant faculty and shared governance involvement. The faculty manual, has it actually been changed yet? It has actually been changed at this point.
Technically, we vote on it this afternoon.
This afternoon?
Yeah, next, yeah.
Technically,
In an
it's
hour.
being, a final approval will come from the Regents. So the baseline, let me just say this, and then please read more about it if this is something that interests you, is normalized to a credit hour scale. Undergraduate education reform, as the provost alluded to earlier today, the Provost Office has officially launched the General Education Visioning Committee. That committee, which is a major university-wide initiative, is intended to basically reimagine our general education curriculum to the needs of students in the 21st century. And if you will recall, I like to bring it up a couple levels. General education is that component of the education we deliver that every student, no matter what their major is, should have exposure to. So the committee was formed in conjunction with the Faculty Senate, and they are kicked off, I believe, I'm looking at Chris, and rolling. Their goal is to deliver a set of recommendations to the Provost and Faculty Senate during the fall 2026 semester, so the fall of this calendar year. Under finance and operations, and again, these are all things that are happening now. They are really change initiatives. They are not waiting because we can't. The 2025 financial statement has been completed with an unmodified opinion and no findings. For those of you in the business, that's remarkable and really laudable. So not only thanks to the team, but the entire university for enabling us to deliver that. We conducted mid-year budget reviews, if you will recall, and maybe you won't, so but that we did a series of budget cuts last year. We will do them again. A reminder, we are looking down the barrel of some version of a budget cut from the state again this year. We develop plans with all of the academic and operational units, and then we review them periodically to see how they're performing against the plan that they put together to deal with their aspect of that budgetary reality. So we conducted mid-year budget reviews. The university treasury, working with the foundation, has completed the first round of reinvestment of unspent endowment distributions. This is one that I'm pleased to see because, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute, but one of the things that we have to do in order to make sure that we are delivering on our promise to not only educate but use state funds wisely, is to look sort of comprehensively at the utilization of our space, our facilities, the physical infrastructure that we control. So facilities, working with a company called CO Architects, completed a comprehensive study of all space at the Spokane Health Sciences campus as a sort of start of how do we routinely look at our utilization. The results of that study will inform our state budget requests going forward for both the residual team health funding as well as other sort of academic planning as we look at how we enhance the capabilities at the 3 colleges that reside in Spokane and will be here in perpetuity, and the entirety of our health sciences education component going forward, so that when we present a request for space, we know exactly why, we know exactly what it will serve for the future, and we know exactly how it will become part of the academic enterprise. Budget compliance and facilities, let's see if there's anything here. I'm gonna, because it's important that you know that we are doing things like this, the cybersecurity maturity model. What is that? It's a basically federal oversight requirement without which we would be unable to accept and implement a great deal of federal research dollars. And we, the team that is working on that in Leslie's office is really performing yeoman's duty in getting us to understand as a body, to understand what that compliance means and to do well there. So kudos to them. The Schweitzer Engineering Hall has completed construction, I believe, and is in the facilitization process right now. I'm very excited for when that building opens. Let's see, we have a number of key metrics on finances, and for those of you that are interested, I'm gonna just spit out some stuff. The details are in the report. FY25 performance over 24 on spendable cash and investments improves, but we are still sort of mid-level, lower mid-level for AA3 institutions, so that's a Moody's rating. Our total tuition discount increased from 42.7 to 46.4 year over year. That looks backwards, but that is improving. Our debt burden ratio is improving. Our age of plant, if I look at this correctly, is actually improving slightly. These are all measures of how well we manage to the expectations of the state of Washington to run the little cities that we run on behalf of the students, faculty, staff, and communities that we serve. Cougar Athletics, as was said, we now have a new head football coach and a new head soccer coach. Both are very exciting human beings who are able to bridge that modern moment of financial challenges, operational challenges, compliance challenges, and the care of young athletes who are also our students. So real kudos to athletics for doing a remarkable job there. Shout out to John Harlow, who is our interim athletics director, for just working incredibly hard on all of our behalf. Reminder that the launch of the new Pac-12 is in the fall of 2026. That is when we will be a full conference again and playing conference football. And then the fan experience. Let me just point to the remarkable capacity that all of our donors, all of our Coug fans, and all of our internal folks have done in the successful effort to develop and secure $8 million by December 15th so that we could proceed with the project timeline and what's called the fan experience, which will give us some moderate new developments in the stadium around what the seating is like and what the flooring is like, but more importantly, a massive investment in the I think it'll be on both sides actually, and what the lighting is like in the stadium and what the music is like in the stadium. We will, for those of you that even watched the games at the University of Virginia and Ole Miss, we will look like modern competitors. And I cannot tell you, you have to go to a game, what it is like to experience as a fan. But I will also tell you what it is like to experience as a student athlete. It is not only attractive to our student athletes, but it changes a number of aspects of the game in ways that you wouldn't anticipate unless you were a player. And those young men know it. On the external affairs side and government relations, just kudos to everybody on Glinda Becker-Fenter's team, both in Olympia right now as we are in session, and a lot of things are happening, including the governor's proposal to really impose a pretty significant, well, not just pretty, a very significant budget cut on WSU, and we are, of course, having many discussions about that. But there's a lot also going on in Washington. I think the one thing that I will point to are the wins, because it's important to recognize at the same time as things that are challenging are coming up, we are winning right and left. We're currently planning an announcement, so be judicious, all of you listening. The WSU secured nearly 54 million in congressional directed spending. It's also handily called an earmark. This infrastructure it includes $50 million to support a system-wide, really technology for aquaculture project for the future of aquaculture. And then $1 million for the ARS building furnishings, meaning we will no longer have an empty building. We'll actually have a facilitized building, and $2 million for National Semiconductor Crystal Growth Center, which is pretty important if we seek to be at the center of the application of modern semiconductors for all of the areas that we serve, whether it's vet med, whether it's agriculture, whether it's defense, whether it's medicine. They are all dependent on being able to play a role in the hardware that underpins all of that. I think I'll point to the number, because I personally have done this, number of communities that we have engaged with over the last 6 months. I've personally been all over Seattle, Bellevue, Spokane, Vancouver, Everett. We have done visits with chambers of commerce. We have held our advisor committee meetings. We have visited with community NGOs. We have gone to major corporations in all of these areas to listen, to talk about how we can work together. What are our major partnerships going to be? We're really trying to create action plans. And then I actually don't have his name, so I'm not going to. Glinda, who's the new person in Washington on Jake Dowd's team? Because can you pronounce it?
Yes, I can, and Regent Wright's not here for, when you hear it correctly, it's Mike Bodway.
Bodway. So we have a new support person in Washington, DC, Mike Bodway, who works for Jake Dowd. And I will tell you, Mike is a lovely addition to our team. So thanks, if you're listening, Mike, for joining us. University Marketing and Communications, that's an enterprise, if you will, which is working on WSU strategic priorities right and left. So we're looking at targeted recruitment, data-informed decision-making, high-impact storytelling, all of the above. On the student recruitment and enrollment marketing side, we've rolled out the It's Go Time enrollment campaign, which is a FY26 student recruitment campaign focused on driving awareness, applications, and yield among in-state traditional, non-traditional, and transfer. So this is an in-state marketing campaign. We've developed an integrated media strategy, again, focused on student recruitment, generating awareness and engagement through this mix of New Student Connect, YouTube videos, streaming, paid social media, etc. These guys are doing an amazing job. And then student digital journey dashboard. So you've heard dashboards presented throughout the day. That is a way for us to ingest a lot of information instead of having to fish through data sources. So we're looking at advancing the development of this student digital journey dashboard with phase 2 launched in the spring of 2026, so upcoming. It will connect digital data on the back end with Slate to identify how prospective students are arriving to our apply site, our uniform WSU apply site. Economic impact storytelling. So you will all recall that we just received and have been sort of evangelizing the economic development report for the last 10 years of impact for WSU, $4 billion a year in statewide economic impact and $12 of economic impact in the state of Washington for every dollar that the state invests in WSU. Those are the things I want you to really remember. And then research enterprise. There's a lot of data in here, which as a former VPR, I think you should all read and study very carefully. But two things are really important. So the number you have seen for our HERD update, which is the Higher Education Research and Development number, that is information we send to the NSF and they publish for every research university in the US. It is the basis for our R1 designation. Last year was 407 million, I think. For FY25, we have submitted a total HERD expenditure number of 457 million.
161. We got the
61.
final number yesterday.
So we are allowed to sort of augment that until we are done with, but 461. So that's sort of a 15% increase. That is a remarkable achievement in the face of the many challenges that are just coming at research. I will say, if we do it again over the next year, it will be an unbelievable achievement on the backs of faculty who are working their butts off to make this happen. So this is faculty-based achievement, and kudos to every member of our faculty who is really putting it out there to do that. The other thing I'll say on the research side is Christian and her team have implemented the President's Big Ideas Initiative. We call it the President's Initiative, but it's really clearly a function of the research enterprise. We have asked for multidisciplinary projects. You cannot submit if you are just a single person or a single research team, focused on high impact areas, including artificial intelligence, community health, environment and energy, food systems, and more. This is a $2 million seed funding. So these are bigger teams with larger seed funding. This isn't $10,000 to go write a paper. It is large amounts of money. Of 144 letters of intent, we down selected to 40. So there are 43 projects from investigators across 34 units across the WSU system have been invited to submit full proposals. Funding would start, and then as we get those teams underway, you will start hearing about them. They are really scaling what WSU can deliver in research through much more multidisciplinary, larger scale projects. So let me see, I'm almost done, Jen. And maybe I'll have a couple minutes for questions. The WSU Foundation, let's just finish up there. As I said, we all joined forces in successfully delivering on the fan experience project. That was a rapid fire need, and Cougs came to the table. So thank you to everybody who either evangelized in one way or another or committed. We are with Alex Peach on Mike Connell's team, actively advancing WSU's corporate partnerships. We're engaging with leaders at Boeing, Alaska. This is me personally and many other people. Boeing, Alaska. I got a fabulous Alaska ugly Christmas sweater this year. I would have worn it, but it was a little like it's thank you to Alaska for the sweater. Amazon, Microsoft, Paycar, Puget Sound Energy, McKinstry, all of these interactions are intended to strengthen not only our presence in key industries, but a whole new approach to how do we collaborate truly, not you give us money, we give you students, but a true collaboration with major industry sectors in the state of Washington. I will end there. And again, kudos to everyone who made it possible to present a report like this. We are cooking on all cylinders, and I will only say to everybody, make sure that the people around you are not burning themselves out. This is a lot of work. And I'm not worried, but we all have to add to the plate of everything that we are doing. You're probably looking at all my regents as well, that aspect of self-care. That makes sure that we can continue to do this for a decade, and not wear ourselves out. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cantwell. All in 10 months. As we think about the broad and deeply engaged way in which you're approaching the role of the presidency with real caring and transparency. We have all been out and about in community, observing the listening, the learning, the leading, the teamwork that has really risen across the entire system. With a future focus and operational excellence, this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of all the things that are happening across the system. And so I just really appreciate the focus on high impact and service to all of Washington State and our communities. So any questions for President Cantwell or comments? That was a lot.
I know it was a
Regent
lot.
Blankenship.
Quick call. Jan, thank you. You mentioned it, that we're zeroing in on 1 year of President Cantwell being with us. But in general, out in the community and amongst each other, I've never sensed quite the alignment that we feel in the community, both in athletics, on the board, and in the broader community and academically. And I just wanted to thank President Cantwell for that alignment and for bringing her unique skill set to our community and applying it vigorously and full speed ahead. So, thank you.
I'd just also like to add to that, there's nothing that you just stated here that doesn't involve an immense amount of change. And when you're moving people's cheese and, the impact of change and how people and navigate it and how to appropriately help move people through it. It's just that is just this overarching thing, all the work has to be done. So I just want to acknowledge the leadership of many of you and President Cantwell helping people walk the journey of this. It's not easy.
If I could just say that, yes, we have remarkable, capable leadership. Not including myself, although I think I'm reasonably capable. But would be nothing literally without the people at the next 2 levels down. But just for everybody who's listening within, I mean, we have so much of our community. I mean, that alignment in part comes from a community. I'm talking about students, I'm talking about faculty, I'm talking about staff, I'm talking about our community members who are ready to be aligned and are joining all of the actions. So kudos to this broad set of stakeholders for being willing and coming to the table and being part of all of this.
That was a hard act to follow. And so with that, I would like to introduce and invite Chancellor Paul Petrie to provide an update on the Everett campus. Welcome. Is it on?
Oh, there it is. I will not try to meet that presentation. But it is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I think the last time that I presented to the Board of Regents was in fall of 2024 at the Edgewater. And so a little bit over a year ago, and a lot has happened since then. So today what I want to do is just give you a sense of what's happened this past semester and some of the highlights of what's going on at WSU Everett. A snapshot of some of the events that have taken place on the Everett campus, just to give you a sense of the context and how we're growing and how we're creating community and learning and developing. And then I want to talk a little bit about some challenges that we see, but then also some opportunities, and talk a little bit more about Everett's context, and then finish with some of our aspirations. So with that, I'll just get started. Hopefully you can see this. First, I want to start off bragging a little bit. We have our new MESA program, our Math, Engineering, and Science Achievement Program. In 24-25, it's serviced about 45 students who are in STEM-related majors. And I would just want to report that we had a retention rate in that program of about 92%, something that we're really, really proud of. You know, prior to the pandemic, we had retention rates overall that were in the 90s. Those dipped down to like the high 70s. Overall, our retention rates are in the low 80s. So the MESA program is really serving to pull up our retention rate. So something that's really important for us moving forward. So I can't say enough about the work that MESA is doing in supporting our STEM students. And the work that Rick Flores is doing with that program. I also want to mention something that's important to WSU Everett that's very new, and that's this AI cluster that we're developing. It provides an opportunity for our students to to really play with AI along with our faculty members. And I'll talk a little bit about the model of development that we have for AI at WSU Everett, something that's very important for our student population. You know, one of the things that we learned from Lightcast is that those individuals entering the workforce with skills in AI get about a 28% premium in their salary, which it equates to about $18,000 a year. And so we definitely want our students to be competitive in that way. The other thing is that we're experiencing some momentum with partnerships. Fluke Corporation just made a major gift to WSU, through WSU Everett, to the WSU system. It's something that is really emblematic of our developing relationship, something that we are really happy about, and you'll hear more about that as time goes on. We also got our first donation from Helion Energy, which is a fusion company in the Everett area. And so just a sense that we're really gaining some support from business and industry. The other important thing is that our students have led some fundraising efforts this past spring. And while I really want to talk about this, I'll leave that for Jess and Rafia. They'll mention that when they come up and give their presentation on ASWSU-E. The thing that I want to mention is that the through line here is that we're developing regional partnerships that are turning into student outcomes. We have had several engagements on the Everett campus. One of the very important ones was President Cantwell, who visited our campus to talk about WSU strategy. And she met with our advisory council. I've had many conversations about that meeting since, really energized our advisory council. And so it was an excellent conversation. And we actually plan to set aside time at our advisory council meeting that'll happen next Friday to continue those discussions. So thank you, President Cantwell, for energizing our community there. We also hosted one day of Fusion Week on the WSU Everett campus. We've done that for the past 4 years, and it's really given us an opportunity to learn more about this new technology and to really get a sense of how WSU Everett might be able to take part in the development of the workforce around fusion energy. Working with the Clean Tech Alliance, it's just been an excellent opportunity. And it looks as though next year, the Fusion Week will be held in Tri-Cities, which makes a lot of sense because of the nuclear power industry that's in the Tri-Cities area. But we've really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know this industry sector, and we think that there's more opportunities to come there. Some community and civic engagement. Dr. Ryan Booth from the Pullman campus spent some time in Everett. He brought brought Humanities Washington for their quarterly meeting. It was great to meet them. They got a chance to learn a little bit more about WSU Everett, learned a little bit more about them. Another great opportunity, the Economic Alliance of Snohomish County held their healthcare summit at WSU Everett. And that was a really good opportunity to gain an understanding of the challenges that the healthcare industry has within the North Puget Sound region, but it also gave us an opportunity to see how we might be able to contribute in the future of the workforce there. We have a new industry advisory board, very important board made up of individuals from Microsoft, Boeing, Fluke, and other industry leaders in the region. And this group is really essential to the work that we're doing at WSU Everett, in that they're providing us insight on what's important for our students as they move into the workforce. And some of them are even acting as mentors and helping us to really provide that type of support for our student population. And we had a joint meeting with our advisory council, and it was a really powerful group around the table. And we plan to have additional joint council meetings in the future. The Electrical Engineering Computer Science Executive Council met at WSU Everett. Again, just another opportunity to learn more about their work. Some professionals with some real long-term experience. And I think they had a good opportunity to learn more about WSU Everett. Thanks to the College of Engineering and Architecture for having that event at WSU Everett. The Smart Manufacturing Forum was held at WSU Everett. That was Impact Washington. And then finally, we had an ABET accreditation visit. And as far as I know, we passed with flying colors. And so the two important things about these meetings is that these are the types of opportunities that keeps Everett aligned with system priorities, and then also creates the pipeline for internships, jobs, and engaged learning opportunities. So one of the things that President Cantwell mentioned is that we spend a lot of time thinking about enrollment. And that's true. That's one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about, discussing, and planning for. And so probably since 2003, we've seen WSU Everett's numbers continue to go up both in the fall and spring. One of the things that we've learned, though, through the system is that the credit hours our students are taking haven't quite kept pace with the head count. And so we've been looking at that and trying to gain a better understanding of what's taking place there. And then so this graph I have here gives you a sense of what we've seen. And so the red line really outlines our full-time population. And then the gray line shows you our part-time
Hey, Paul.
population. Yes.
The slides aren't changing. Is someone?
Oh, excuse me. I'm changing them here, but I didn't change them.
There we go.
Thank you for telling me
Yes.
that. Okay. Yeah, the gray line, of course, is the part-time student population, and the crimson line is our full-time population. So essentially what you see is that our full-time population dipped between 22 and about 2024 slightly, and now is on an upward trajectory. The part-time population, though, has continued to go up through between 2024 and 2022 and 2024, and it's kind of leveled out. But even at that, you see that about 50% of our population now is part-time. And so we knew that our part-time population would increase because we have what's called our degree partnership program. And so that allows students to actually be admitted to both Everett Community College and Washington State University Everett at the same time. And so naturally, our part-time student population would increase, but we don't have 50% of our population that are actually participating in the DPP program. So we were just curious what else could be happening. Of course, the first thing we thought, could this be part of the cliff? But what we're thinking is that at WSU Everett, we're definitely increasing in our degree partnership program population, but at the same time, we're just getting more students who are working. And so this particular graph, which comes from OFM data, shows that over the next 10 years, and this is just Snohomish County and King County, over the next 10 years, the 15 to 19 age population will decrease by about 7%. And so that's kind of your traditional freshman, sophomore cohort. And the junior, senior cohort, ages 20 to 24, they're going to stay pretty flat. And just a 1% gain there. And so where the
Screen's not moving again.
Oh. Sorry about that. Thanks. So as you can see, just the progression there. And the mid-career adults, age 25 to 39 is where you'll see the increase. There's going to be about a 6% increase in that population. And so that's where I think WSU Everett really has an opportunity. A lot of students who will be going part-time, students who will be re-entering higher education is an opportunity for WSU Everett. And another interesting point on this slide that I want to point out is that about 45% of the growth in population statewide will happen in these two counties, Snohomish County and King County. So with that, one of the things that we're working on at WSU Everett is just gaining more knowledge of what it's going to take to continue to grow our population, to be more efficient as an organization. And so we are working with RPK, a consulting group, to help us in that way. And I want to thank Sandra Haynes for making that referral. And so some of the things that we're working on with RPK are our academic competitors and doing an analysis to gain a better understanding of that. Additionally, we're looking at some of the challenges and opportunities in the administrative structure, labor market demand, some program analysis, and looking at our portfolio of majors to see if they're aligned with business and industry needs, and also looking at our competitive opportunities and our strengths. So we're looking forward to gaining more information and data from RPK. The other piece that I mentioned earlier was just about AI and the importance of that, especially where we are located, the fact that we are a STEM focused campus. It's important for us to be able to prepare our students for the workforce. And so one of the things that we've done is started to develop this strategy around AI and how we're able to provide opportunities for both our students and our faculty. And so it's a three-pronged approach that's undergirded by advancement and fundraising. If we're going to do this, we have to be able to raise funds to support this initiative. And so the first aspect of that is just our private campus AI cluster. It's a closed cluster, and only our campus can gain access to that. So it provides a real opportunity for our students to be able to play in this AI environment, and an opportunity for our faculty members as well. We hope in the future that we'll also be able to provide some opportunities for our staff members. We know that AI really provides some opportunities around workflow. And so that's an important aspect of our development in our community. We also are bringing AI to the classroom. We piloted a class this past fall, Computer Science 483. That was a course developed by one of our software engineering faculty members, Jeremy Thompson. And so just a real opportunity for our students to gain some additional knowledge. 9 students from Everett, 15 from the Pullman campus. And so we want to continue to develop that course, and then also move towards developing some courses that will include opportunities for our business students, our sustainable agriculture students, our communication students, data analytics students. So just across our curriculum. Oh, the last piece is just community partnerships. We want to be able to bring this to our community as well. We have several groups that we work with where we're developing students to think about STEM careers. And so AI is an important part of that as well. Some of these things I mentioned already, our partnership with Fluke, just this excellence fund that has supported this development, the developments around AI. I want to mention that we will be hosting a alumni event for the Boeing Company in March. And so that's something that's going to work really well. I also want to mention that we had some generous donors that provided some scholarship dollars for our students to do some undergraduate research. And so we awarded some students $1,000, and you'd be surprised how good work undergraduate students can do with $1,000 working with their faculty members. In fact, there's a couple of projects that I'm sure the president and the Board of Regents would be interested in seeing. I'll just go through this really quickly. Essentially, 2 new degree programs that we're bringing to WSU Everett. Computer engineering is set to launch for fall of 26. Computer science is working its way through Faculty Senate. These are 2 degree programs we're able to offer with no new cost because we have the core faculty. So that's something that we're trying to do, trying to in these tough fiscal times, do things without having to add any additional fiscal burden. Timely care, I mentioned this last year, something that we're using. The real power of timely care is that students are able to get support for their well-being and mental health 24 hours a day, and some coaching there. Just a real powerful service for our student population. And just doing a lot around career services, some of the things I mentioned earlier. And again, one of the things I want to mention is that the Boeing Company and the fact that we already have 6 students who were hired on our campus this past fall, and something we're really proud of. So these students are going to start with the Boeing Company after they graduate in the spring. Let's see. This is the I won't talk about these because I'm running kind of long, but we do have some I just want to talk about some of our aspirations. One of the things that President Cantwell has charged us with is looking at institutions that we want to learn from. And so this is a list that we've developed, and of course, I'll vet this with President Cantwell, but some of the institutions are the Oregon Institute of Technology, Linköping University in Sweden, Technological de Monterrey, Cal Poly Humboldt, and University of Baltimore, Maryland County. And I outlined some of the advantages that these different institutions provide, but as a cohort of institutions, it really provides some real grounding and well-rounded knowledge for Washington State University Everett. And in closing, we started this week with Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and I thought it'd be appropriate to end with a quote from him that really kind of sums up education, and especially in these particular times. And this quote says, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." And so with that, I will open it up for questions.
Thank you, Chancellor Petrie. Sounds like lots going on. I expect an invitation to the Boeing March event.
Most definitely, most definitely. Yes.
Any questions?
I have a, perhaps a bigger overarching question. What's your assessment, of the kind of economic health and vitality of Everett? And
Yeah.
how you see that, WSU kind of fitting into that economic picture?
The economic health of the campus,
Of your community.
of the community. Yeah, I think that the Everett community is doing well. I think that there is a lot of opportunity for continued growth and development. I think the Everett community, much like Washington State University, Everett is in a kind of a slow growth pattern. You know, I've seen the Everett community change in the time that I've been on the ground there. And a lot of it has to do with a move away from kind of this smokestack. I just remember growing up in Seattle, and you go through Everett and, you know, you could smell the pulp mill. There's no pulp mills anymore. Of course, Boeing supply chain has always been there. But along with that, increased aerospace activity, increased manufacturing activity. In fact, prior to the pandemic, there was 12% of the labor force were employed in manufacturing outside of aerospace. So just a lot of manufacturing, and then now a real kind of focus on sustainable energy, you know, and that's starting to develop in the area. You know, I've been working with Professor Joseph Iannelli. He's got a lot of international partnerships with universities, and so one of the universities he works with is in Norway, and so we found that there were two companies that are in manufacturing around maritime, and they're both right there in Snohomish County. And so we were able to make some really good connections with those businesses. And then so he's really working to provide opportunities not only for our students to visit universities in Norway, but also to have some industry experience. So there's just a lot that's developing in Everett and Snohomish County. Slow, but the growth is happening.
Great. Well, thank you for your presentation today. I'm going to suggest a quick bio break so that we can be super focused with our shared governance reports here coming up. But thank you, Dr. Petrie, for being here with us and sharing
you.
the Everett message. some flights to catch. And so there may be a little dynamic here, but I think we're going to get through it in a very efficient manner. But I'm very excited to hear from all of our shared governance because they bring so much energy and information, and the dialogue is really inspiring. So our reports from shared governance is next, and our next update will come from our first presenter, the Associated Students of WSU Everett President, Jesse Southam. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Southam.
Southam. Okay, great. Welcome. Jesse, I'm sorry, did I miss some introduction?
Oh,
Will you
this is our
introduce
Vice
your-
President at ASWSU, Rafia Shakil.
Can you turn your
Can
microphone?
you use the microphone?
Oh,
You have to-
sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Not on yet.
Sorry?
Your slide will be displayed.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so good morning, Regents. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Jessie Southam. I am the ASWSUE President.
And my name is Rafia Shakil. I'm the Vice President.
We have served as President and Vice President for the last semester together. And so far, it has been such an honor. We feel like we have made great strides on our campus, and we could not be more proud to be a Coug. It's been a great experience. Do I need for something for the slide?
No.
Okay, should I just start then?
Yes, please.
Okay. Our 2025-2026 academic year goals for ASWSUE was to build community both within and beyond our campus. Within was for a stronger community for the students as a cohesive body between all of the colleges and majors. Community beyond the campus was to build a strong foundational relationship with the local community to help benefit future students. One of the biggest challenges that we face as student government on our campus is that though many of the events on campus, not just by ASWSUE, but also the other RSOs, are all well attended by all students across different majors. The challenge is to how to break down the barriers so that the social circles within our campus are they're still largely divided by major. So we are working on kind of building a more cohesive student body and intermingling all of the majors together and the students. In the fall, two Everett student organizations participated in the Coug Starter project. Both organizations met their goals and were fully funded. We had the FC Everett Cougs, which is Everett's first ever sports team on our campus. ASWSUE funded them in the fall and helped them get started. And then once they got the ball rolling, they were able to start with the Coug Starter to raise money for further seasons. They now have grown to a 10-player co-ed team, and with many wins locked away for all of the seasons that they've played so far. The other organization that participated in Coug Starter was ASWSUE. The goal of our fundraiser was to host a Crimson Coug holiday market. The funds were to host a community event that would help build stronger relationships in the community. If you're not aware, ASWSUE is funded by SNA fees, so it can only be used for students. Through Coug Starter, we were able to host an open to the public holiday market that served as a way to bring students, faculty, the campus, and the local community together. Despite the record floods in December, we had over 100 guests throughout the 4-hour event. There was all these 16 local businesses showed up to table. We had a live jazz band, food truck, a free photo booth, and free hot cocoa. They were shopping for the holidays, but then we also had a number of free activities for students and the space to spend together for the holidays. There were exclusive prizes, and the lobby of the building was decorated with Christmas lights and everything that really brought together the magic of the holiday season. Another one of our achievements this this last semester was a number of the student government hosted events. One was our study session during finals week. It was a huge success in a makeshift 6-hour study hall across all the majors with one common goal, which was to ace our finals. We had the cafe open late to caffeinate the students. We had tutors available for students that needed help with their studying. Snacks were available, and also peer support just to have other people to study with and lock in for finals. The Crimson Cafe had their grand opening in the fall as well. This has been providing students with a space to gather, and ASWSUE collabs with the cafe regularly. We kick off a lot of our events in the lobby where the Crimson Cafe is. We tend to bring down the ping pong table to try to attract more students to our events. We kick off our events with events like Chai with the Chancellor, who sits down and have conversations with a number of students that show up. We also create social media content that interact a lot with the baristas, the student baristas at the cafe. And they have been very supportive of us, any ideas that we have in fleshing them out and working with them in how the cafe can support our events to help both benefit each other in attendance. We had in November, we hosted a Cougs Giving that provided students a free shared holiday meal together as a campus with a no barriers environment. Student government provided the turkey. We cooked about, I think, 2 turkeys. Everyone brought sides, and it was a very well attended event across majors. It was really fantastic and really brought the community together for the holiday. Our Orca card program, we have continued to have huge success with that. It is a high demand program throughout the semester, and it ensures our Everett students have access to public transit for our students coming from the south of Everett to commute, and also access to Seattle for games, to Mariners games, Seahawks games, etc. We are hoping to further expand this program by working with the Skagit Transit north of Everett to help offer the public transit access to our students coming from the north as well. And in the future, what do we have next? So our next event is Coug Day at the Capitol in Olympia. We will be leaving this Sunday for Advocacy Day on Monday. Last year, we sent 1 student from Everett to Coug Day, and this year we'll be sending 10 from Everett. For the spring semester, we plan on continuing more of our highly engaged events like the study session that involve all of the students across our campus, and also serving the students per their request. We have an old-fashioned wooden suggestion box outside of our office, and it gets pretty good traction. We leave some notes out there, and people leave probably like 2 to 3 suggestions a week. Some of them we try to work with, and some of them we unfortunately cannot help with. But a lot of the things that the students want to see is just more community building and engaging with each other, to have fun events together, just a reason to get together where somebody who you might not normally interact with, it gives you the opportunity to do so. Lastly, we have been trying to up the student engagement on our part by discussing with students what their interests are, trying to encourage them to start more campus clubs. Recently, I think last semester, Chess Club made a comeback, and they had successful weekly meetings where students gathered in front of the cafe and played chess all in a line. And so we're continuing conversations like that with other students this semester on what they're interested in. Like I think a lot of times the students don't realize that these interests, like other students on this campus have similar interests, and these can be created into clubs and creating community that way as well. Do you have anything to add?
I think just going off of student engagement, one of my personal goals as vice president this year was to kind of make our social media presence more known. We currently have over 360 followers on Instagram, if I'm not wrong. At the beginning of the semester, it was close to 300. So through our Kook Starter, through these events, I've done my best to just make fun college style videos that people can enjoy. And it's been proven to, my efforts have been paying off so far, but we are still aiming to raise those numbers.
Any questions?
Could you tell us, both of you, what you're studying and why? Also, I'd like to know why you picked Everett. How did you ever?
I'm sorry. I am a transfer student from Edmonds College, so I did 2 years there. And when it came time to decide which college I wanted to go to, I kind of applied everywhere. And as I started getting the acceptance letters back, I really wanted to find a place where I could commute, but I would still have that level of community that I would have at a traditional four-year college. And it was either Wazoo or Central. And I took a look at all of my options. I went in person, looked around at what the day-to-day life looked like. And I just noticed, and I truly just felt that the campus life on Wazoo felt a lot more lively compared to all the other smaller colleges in the greater Seattle area.
What are you studying?
And I am studying business administration.
I am a business administration management major. I am a slightly older returning higher education student. So I'm actually from Massachusetts, and I went to when I was 18, I went to a traditional four-year. I went to UMass Amherst, which was kind of like a Pullman. It's like 2 hours west of Boston, and it was an interesting time. And then coming back as an adult now, I was looking for a campus that would have a supportive community. I'm coming back with a very different mindset than when I started school when I was 18. And when I started to apply to colleges in the area, Wazoo Everett, just the admissions that I worked with and everyone, they were supportive in a way I did not find at like UW Bothell or anything like that. And it truly made a world of a difference. It made the decision very easy. And then since getting onto campus, the first year was a little slow. You know, I think everyone's first semester is you're a little shy. But I think we built such a great tight-knit community in what we have so far, and we're hoping to grow that, obviously, you know, as we get more interactions with the other students and the other majors. But I could not emphasize how proud I am to be able to have served the student body for this past semester so far.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you on campus.
Thank you.
Our next shared governance presenter is Faculty Senate Chair Ken Roberts.
Thank you, Chair Ramos, for the invitation. Appreciate being here. And it's great to follow the effort presentations. So Paul, thank you for that. Reminds me, and Regent Dickinson's question, we spent a lot of time in Everett back in the day when we were having all our excitement around starting a college, and it is an incredible community. It really is. So I remember one of the first meetings we had, I was supposed to be with the Providence healthcare people. And when we showed up, the mayor was there, representative from the Navy base, Boeing was there. Everybody was there. It's a very engaged community, and I love hearing the student experience is awesome as well. So that makes me feel really great. You have my handout. I would just like to say, as I started, the things that we put in this report are sort of like, we try to pull out the highlights, but it always makes me feel a little self-conscious because the Faculty Senate meets every 2 weeks and the steering committee meets in between. And we discuss a lot of things, and we we have a lot of agenda items that will never make it here. The Senate has 14 committees, if you count steering, plus the subcommittees, and they're all doing stuff. And some of them are really integral and really work hard, and their work doesn't necessarily appear in these highlights. So I just want to point that out because I feel self-conscious sometimes because the work that's done is not always as recognized as it should be. But as you can see, we've made several updates to the faculty manual, and those are very important because this is really how we guide faculty life at WSU. And so just a few highlights of those. And if I can, before I just point out a few of those highlights, and Judy unfortunately is gone, but Judy is the chair of our Faculty Affairs Committee. And all of these faculty manual updates come through her committee. She is approaching her last year of her second term as chair. And I don't like to look ahead to not having Judy on that committee because she's been so integral. As you all know from her work as a regent, she is a wealth of knowledge and always just there for you when you need some work done. So I'll add my kudos to everybody else's to the work that Judy has done for us. So as was mentioned, you guys will look at it this afternoon, I guess. The workload policy is now in the faculty manual. And I think with Chris's work, it's pretty well socialized amongst the faculty. And we're all looking forward to sort of doing a better job of keeping track, number one, of how faculty are working, but also having a proactive tool to really structure what we can expect from faculty, especially as it comes to annual reviews and things like that, and how we give faculty promotions and things like that. There's a lot of sort of housekeeping updates in here as well when we started consolidating the BPPMs and the other PPMs into the UPPM. All the references in the faculty manual, of course, have to change. And so there's a number of updates there. Some of these are small but important. We've made some modifications to how the language around how we communicate with faculty when faculty are being investigated for disciplinary reasons, that sort of thing, are also in there. And then the last item I just want to point out, because this is a really big deal, even though it seems like not a big deal because you can just click on it. And that is we now have an online version of the faculty manual. So we publish updates every 6 months, so twice a year. And it's always been a PDF document that a lot of people print out. But we have now, with the work primarily of Greg Crouch, former faculty senate chair, now in the graduate school, he's like a computer genius on the side, I guess. But he has taken our Word document, which is the faculty manual, and made it so that with really just a couple of clicks, well, maybe a whole bunch of clicks, it becomes the online version. And it becomes the PDF version, and it's all hyperlinked and everything works. But most importantly, it is reader accessible. So for those who can't see or don't hear well, it complies to all those guidelines. And most things are not like that. Most things you don't click and get that accessibility done. And the accessibility is kind of a big deal because that's coming our way. It is come our way, and we all have to be accessible by sometime this spring. So a very big deal there. Excuse me. The next item is the Faculty Senate has vetted and sort of nominated, if you will, several faculty members to serve on this General Education Reform Committee that was mentioned. We are in the process of looking at the general education requirements that usually come in the early years of your experience as a student at WSU. It hasn't been done in 15 years or so. This is an example of one of the things where the Faculty Senate, this is not a responsibility of the Faculty Senate, but the Faculty Senate is very involved in the process. So there's a number of university committees like this, some in Provost Riley Tillman's office, some in the President's office, where it's actually their committee, but the Faculty Senate is involved in the process of putting people on those committees, and we have that representation back to the Faculty Senate. So the side of the Faculty Senate, which is just, I should say just, but it is sort of the consultative and the advisory role that the Faculty Senate plays. And this is an example of that. But don't underestimate the important work of this committee, because I think our UCOR, what we call UCOR now, is a very important part of our curriculum and held very close by a number of faculty. So the revision of it will be very important work. I think I mentioned this before, but we have two new committees, the International Affairs Committee and the Faculty Compensation Committee. Those are now official, and their function statements will be finalized by the Faculty Senate at our next meeting. we've already met with the leadership of both those committees and look forward to what they're going to be doing in their respective areas. Next item is just a note that we have the faculty senate leadership, I actually should say the chair and the chair-elect visit all the campuses over the year of, well, each year. So this is my year to be visiting. Last year I visited them with Tracy. This is a great thing to do. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it's not like it solves any problems or anything, but it allows the faculty senate to stay in close touch with leadership, in particular, at all of our campuses. It just turns out to be a really, really learning experience and a great sort of relationship building experience, even when you're doing it in Pullman, where we spend a lot of our time already. But having that time cordoned off where you can just do those visits turns out to be super valuable. And each time we do a visit like this, I'm reminded of the same thing, and that is how amazing our faculty leadership and our administrative leadership actually is. And I know Provost Riley Tillman has pointed out a few times that we have a good working relationship and we value that. And this sort of activity is what contributes to that good working relationship. But it's also very clear when you do these meetings that you have this shared roots, because almost all of our administrative partners come from faculty. And sometimes they go back to faculty after they're done being administrators. So there's very much an interaction at that level too, even though we do keep them separate in their lanes for the purposes of making sure all aspects of the university run as they should. The last thing I added, I didn't add it last time, is just a reminder that one of the things we do at Faculty Senate is we entertain constituent concerns or just issues that the faculty are thinking about, sometimes worried about. They can bring those in a number of ways, or a couple of ways. One is they can just bring them to Faculty Senate in person when we meet, or they can send them in as opposed to our faculty forum. And a lot of times it's not in the faculty senate's lane necessarily to solve those problems, but it's very important that we are a sounding board and we sometimes do due diligence on what those issues are. So I just mentioned a couple of them here. One of them was a recent post on taxing of F&A accounts that carry forward. Very important issue to faculty, depending on how their life is structured within their departments and colleges. And it's just been an opportunity to hear from faculty on an issue like that and interact with Vice President for Finance and others, who basically need to understand what the faculty concerns are as they make their important decisions into how we make fiscal policy within the university. The other one, of course, was the recent sort of high-profile issue of our accreditation of the CME course that was discussed at a previous faculty or at a Regents meeting. A lot of strong feelings about that one. Again, I would say one of the main things that came out of that is just an appreciation amongst our greater faculty of the fact that we do CME now at WSU and how it comes about to be an accredited process that we have some oversight in at the college level, but in fact is not something in the sort of the curriculum lane that the faculty senate would approve on. And we also gave us a chance to talk about the fact that the College of Veterinary Medicine and Pharmacy and Nursing have been doing this for years as well. So all of our professional schools really do the service work of keeping our professionals in the community current on the things that they need to know about. So I added that there just so, at each faculty meeting, there's typically tends to be something new to talk about. So that is my report.
Any questions for Dr. Robert? I just would like to convey that we're grateful to the Faculty Senate for being stewards of our academic excellence, and your leadership really matters, and we really appreciate that you're here with us in person. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for the invitation. And this is my campus. So. Pullman is my campus on Thursday.
So representing the Administrative Professional Advisory Council, President Amy Robbins.
Hello, Board of Regents. Thank you for having us. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, I was going to make the trip up to Spokane. It's one of my favorite drives from Pullman to Spokane, but I am committed to other things this afternoon. So thank you for letting me join you virtually. I appreciate your time. I'm just going to go through an update here. A lot of work is being done, of course, behind the scenes, as all of the presenters here have talked about. Much work is being done. Currently, we are working on refining our mission statement. It has been adopted by the APAC Council, and so we adopted a new mission. Basically, it's to fortify alignment with the core purpose of the university. We want to make sure that we are in line with the way the university is moving forward. We hear President Cantwell talk a lot about action plans, and so APAC has taken that to heart, and our mission statement is definitely focused more on taking action with the university and being members of this community and working with one another and the larger systems. So that was a fun undertaking. I don't believe that it had been updated in quite some time. And so, yeah, that was exciting. And it's always good to sharpen our focus and strengthen that alignment with where we're going and moving forward with all of the changes that are around us. Our bylaws are also in process of being updated. Our election and bylaw committee is taking them on section by section. And so we're providing them to our members at a business meeting each month. And then we're working on refining those during a business meeting. And then we present them out to the entire APAC community through our monthly meeting. And so a lot of work is being done behind the scenes. Once again, we're strengthening that representation among all of our campuses, making sure that all campuses have a voice and all Ps have that line to communication to make sure their voices are being heard. We're also focusing on more of a long-term direction rather than just a year-to-year process. So that is a large undertaking. As all of you know, with the BPMs, UPPMs, and all of that, it's a lot of red lines, reading through, and then just making sure we're agreeing on the language that is set forth. We recently completed and coordinated a special election to make sure that we're upholding accurate system-wide representation in response to this year's vacancies. Unfortunately, with changes on campus, we did lose some of our members that were elected in the spring. And so we had the opportunity to fill 5 vacant council seats and then 2 alternate vacancies. I'm excited to report to you that the people that have stepped up and are now that filled these 5 vacant seats and 2 alternate vacancies are already on committees, and this is their first month. They've just dove, geez, I can't talk. I'm so sorry. They just dove right in to the process and are helping the committees out. And they are a representation of all of our campuses. We have some new Tri-Cities members, a new Vancouver representative, and then some local Pullman representatives too. When we look at filling our vacant seats and going back to our bylaws, we make sure that we look at the institutional research that is done each year to the number of APs that are on each campus, and then update the ratios depending on those numbers. So we looked at it 2 years ago. I was a member of the election and bylaw committee then, and we did raise the number of APs on our council in the Tri-Cities to reflect some growth there. And so we are constantly doing that and making sure that voices across campuses are being heard. Switching to engagement, we're continuing to explore meaningful topics to share with our AP community. We're working to bring in knowledgeable subject matter experts to enrich all of the conversations that we're having. We have been fortunate enough to have President Cantwell at one of our meetings. We just had Cody Wilson with transportation talk at one of our meetings. Provost Soleil will be talking at our business meeting next week. And so it's great to have all of this representation come and talk to APs. as Chair Roberts talked with Faculty Senate, we hear constituent concerns. That's a large part of what we are here for. And as you can imagine, similar to those constituent concerns, it's the price of parking, tuition. The tuition waiver is a big topic for administrative professionals and looking at continuing their education. And so we're just working within the community structure to have those conversations and see what we can do to move ourselves forward and keep hopefully our administrative professionals happy and us all working together towards the future that President Cantwell continues to talk about and we're all excited to move forward into. I think when I was here last time, I talked about our photo contest, and it's just kind of a fun opportunity. We had 73 photos that were submitted, and they're amazing. The WSU campus administrative professionals, we have some serious photographers in our midst here. And so we did a little bit different. We opened it up and allowed all administrative professionals to vote, not just our committee. And so 243 administrative professionals voted on the submissions. We had 5 winners and 5 honorable mentions. So that was something that was just super fun. If you have a chance, well, I do know our APAC website's under construction, but once Beth gets that all in line, those photos will be up there for everyone to see. And they are an amazing encapsulation of the beautiful landscape that is Washington and our many, many campuses. Let's see. Our executive team, which consists of myself as chair, our budget chair, and our vice chair, continue to go and are invited to system-wide events. And so we are participating in those events, taking that information back to the administrative professionals and making sure that people are aware of what is going on at the university, people are engaged in the university, and people feel that their voices are being heard. And with that, I think I will I just want to share that we do have a couple of different committees that do this work. We have a budget committee, which obviously oversees the financial aspect of the Administrative Professionals Council. We have an Access and Opportunity Council who works to ensure that APs have access and opportunity to resources, concerns, all of those things. Our Election and Bylaws Committee, I talked about what they're doing. Professional development and events, of course, helps get our guest speakers and ensure that we're providing professional development opportunities for administrative professionals. And of course, marketing communications, ensuring that we're getting the word out. Administrative professionals know that we're on campus, we're a source of support, and we're also someone they can come and become engaged in. We had a great meeting with HRS last week, I think, or the beginning of this week, sometimes time goes together, about helping when APs are hired to get the word out that this council exists and hoping to get further engagement. And I thank you for your time today. There's a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes, and we're excited to be able to present that to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Great, thank you, Amy. You're a wonderful president of APAC. I look forward to seeing you next couple months. Our next speaker is Graduate Professional Student Association's new president, Desmond Abawaje, and he is here in person.
Thank you, and I'll just cut it brief. I just wanted to begin by saying thank you to Regents. So during the Thanksgiving, we received some frozen turkeys from him, and that was a really nice gesture. So thank you so much. It really helped a lot of families that were around. We received 13, and I just had a personal conversation with him at the back, and he has already hinted that we probably may be doing this annually. So thank you.
We'll do a collection.
Yeah.
But thanks to everybody that contributed.
Thank you. Unfortunately for us, we cannot cook the turkeys like our colleagues because the CAB will not allow us to bring any external food. We did ask WSU Catering if they could cook some for us. That would have been an awesome experience, but we couldn't do that. However, we still had a Thanksgiving event, like I mentioned when I was here first. This is the first time we really mobilized the graduate students together with their families. I mentioned that we already did a little bit of an assessment, and we realized that involving graduate student families was one of the key contributors to having graduate students participate in our event, because it's really hard for me to come to an event and leave my kid at home, or my wife or husband and so on. And so we organized a grads giving event in the cab, and this was the first time that we ran out of food. I mean, it is in general, it's not a good thing, but the numbers overwhelmed us because we have never had such turnout to our event. And so it's not a good thing, but it was a good experience for us. So we are still moving forward a lot with organizing events that we can include families. And I think that has been helpful on the campus so far. The next thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned that it has already been said multiple times that the graduate student community, we really do not involve ourselves with advocacy. And one of the key reasons is that the leadership is usually made of international students, largely international students. And so some of the things we will talk about, almost all of them, we will not benefit from. And so it has been really, really difficult trying to form an advocacy team. However, we've really made a giant stride this year as we are taking 18 graduate students to Cook Day. Now, for all the years that I have been here, maximum has been 6. Last year we were there, it was maximum 6 students. So we have tripled the number of graduate students that go to Cook Day. And this is following our decision to host the Washington Student Association's General Assembly meeting at the Pullman campus. And so during the discussion of what's going to be on our agenda, we were able to push 2 of the graduate students' agenda on the list, on the top 5. And usually when we go to Cook Day, it's teams made up of both undergrad and grad. And usually it's just the 5 of us spread across, and so 1 per team. This time around, we are putting 2 graduate students on each team, and at least half of the team is going to be led by graduate students. And so this means that we can communicate our action items to the legislators. And our Vice President for Legislative Affairs already at Olympia, and he has already organized a lot of meetings, and we already have sponsors for some of our new bills. Unfortunately, we did see the budget situation, so we might not be able to get our bills through this year, but at least we've set the grounds for success next year. And so that is one of the key areas that we are really, really glad that we can accomplish in that short time. The last thing, this last but one, but the next thing I want to talk about is, so on the SNA board, one of the things that you realize is, and this is common, I know, that a lot of the requests that come from the departments, majority of the funds is targeted towards salaries and stipends and benefits. And that is fair. And so if you, in general, you will see 80–85% of the requests go into this to serve stipends and so on. And these departments usually hire students. However, because they do hourly base, it's usually only undergraduate students that can apply to these positions. Because graduate students, you have to have an assistantship, which is 20 hours generally, and you are spending the rest of the time doing your research and studies. And so there's no room for any more hourly. And majority of us are international students, like I mentioned anyways. And so you cannot do more than that. And so we are changing the discussion, and our approach now is to try to communicate with some of these departments to see if they can develop GA positions, which is how a graduate student can still be employed by these departments that are generally funded by the SNA and still have the ability to do the studies. I met with the WSU Children's Center yesterday, for instance, discussing, because they hire almost 30 students, right? And they don't have any graduate assistant positions there. So it's not really a fair representation of the graduate students, because these departments are funded by the SNA fees, which we also pay. So we are hoping that we can make some progress and get some few GAs, which will also be helpful for admitting more graduate students in the future. The last thing is and I know maybe Provost we might talk about this later, I don't know, but the university change for the Microsoft Online storage, this is a really, really big blow for us as graduate students. Like if you are a TA, and I was a TA before I took this position, when you develop your lecture slides, that alone is over 500 gigabytes. And you have to make it available to the students. You have to put it online and share the link with the students because they have to go back. And so for a graduate student to get 1 gig will be very, very unfortunate. Right now we have 5 terabytes, and I did a short survey with the executive board asking people to show how much space they are using, and the lowest is around 71. Me, myself, I have over 300 gigabytes of data, and that's because we put all of our research online. If you have to do a presentation at a conference, you have to put your presentation online and share the link with them. Or you have to even send it to them as an email, and that's over 1 gig already. So the 1 gigabyte really is not going to be enough for graduate students. And so I'm already doing discussions with, I'm trying to move the discussion towards deans and directors to see if colleges can assist. But I think that a little bit of room for us, maybe even 5 gigabytes for graduate students, we can manage that. 1 gigabyte is a little bit too low. I'll end here. Thank you.
So 1G to 1T. You're gonna really get some help there. I appreciate you being here with us, Desmond. Any questions? Yeah.
But I would talk with Tony. Right. Will be far more useful than me in this space who can barely turn on the computer. Tony would be the right person for you guys to talk with about how that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. I am going to do a little out of sequence here. I guess I have the chair license to do that. I'm gonna help people make sure they make their flights. So if I could please, and I've asked for permission from Mr. Connell for his patience, ask Regent Pika to provide his report on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. We'll get that going first.
Wonderful. Thank you for that flexibility, Chair Ramos. Our committee met yesterday like others. I thought it was robust. It was fun. And we had 3 information items and we had 3 action items, which we will call on here later. And we had 1 written report. The first informational item was a panel discussion we had. It was an update on our status, our health sciences. And this was led by Provost Riley Tillman, by our medical, by the Elson Floyd College of Medicine Dean, Dr. Jim Record, interim Dean Julie Ackers for the College of Pharmacy, and the interim Dean for Nursing, Ann Mason, was not able to make it. But this morning we had a wonderful tour, which we got a chance to see the inside of the College of Nursing, and I thought it was both enlightening and much appreciated. I just want to underscore what Chair Ramos, I think, said earlier, which is our nursing population, those graduate or those undergraduates, and is very large. And I was amazed when I was here in December and heard that this is the largest by far in the state, like 2 to 1. And it says a whole bunch about our success we've had as in the nursing school. And it's just, I was able at that meeting to see the 3, the dean and the interim deans together, along with Riley Tillman. And it's imperative that our team act as a team. And that's the dynamic that I felt in that room going forward. I'm just very, very upbeat and optimistic about the direction of health sciences and their success. That was really fun. So our second information item was the continuation of our mission moment, which is a series, educational series for the benefit of us as Regents, and heard directly from the deans. And Dr. Karen Thomas Brown is the Dean of the College of Education, Sport, and Human Sciences. Dr. Thomas Brown made a very compelling presentation on behalf of her college. She highlighted the impact of the difference we are making, especially in the rural schools, as well as their strategic priorities and strengths, which include student success, access and belonging, experimental learning, engagement, and community service. Afterwards, she received a very well-deserved applause, answering our questions. The third final informational item was an update on WSU's enrollment, recruitment and retention. We hope to have this in front of the Regents, some aspect of that every single meeting, as we have the past two meetings. And it was a great report. Vice Provost of Enrollment Management, Saichi Oba briefly introduced the session, followed by Associate Vice Provost for New Student Enrollment, Michelle Lewis, and Carnes, Director, we had a best practice presentation by Carnes, Director of Recruitment and Retention, Miguel Insunuza. Did I get that? But the start of the show, which was featured our recent student who is an ambassador, Carnes, Danny Pastor, who was really out there recruiting and in his role as an ambassador, and that was really fun to listen to Danny. You know, it's a challenge. We all know that the enrollment and retention are, it's not just here at WSU that we continue to focus on this, very important part of what we do, but we're not immune. It's a problem everywhere, and certainly WSU is not immune, but I'm very too optimistic about what is happening at corner as well. It was another excellent presentation. And we also, after those presentations, we covered our 3 action items. I want to note that we did have a written report, as you heard earlier from Ken Roberts regarding our faculty manual revisions. So now I would like to introduce 3 action items for us to act on this morning. First is to vote on the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities revised Year 6 accreditation report. So, Madam Ramos, I would move that the Board of Regents approve the revised Year 6 accreditation report for NWCC.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, are those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Moves forward.
Super. Second action item is to vote on the discontinuation of Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art at WSU Tri-Cities. So I move that the Board of Regents discontinue the Fine Arts art degree on the WSU Tri-Cities campus.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, that motion moves forward. Thank you.
The third and final action is to vote on the discontinuation of the Bachelor of Arts in Hospitality Business Management at the WSU Tri-Cities. I move that the Board of Regents discontinue the Bachelor of Arts in Hospitality Business Management degree on the WSU Tri-Cities campus.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thank you. That moves forward.
That concludes our report. Thank you again for the flexibility.
Wonderful. Safe path. We are going to circle back to our shared governance groups and appreciate our Vice President for Advancement and CEO Mike Connell for being patient, and invite him to share with us the report for advancement, which also includes the foundation and the Alumni Association.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair Ramos. I think we may have Tracy online. So let me start by introducing our President of the WSU Alumni Association, Tracy Kohler, and we'll hand it over to her for an update. Tracy, take it away.
All right. Good morning from Vancouver. I hope this new year is off to a healthy and happy start for everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to join you today as a committed partner to WSU's success. As we begin this new year, I want to share some highlights from the past few months and look ahead to the exciting opportunities that lie before us. First and foremost, the WSU Alumni Association continues to play a vital role in amplifying the WSU's key priorities and telling the university's story to a broad alumni audience. Our communications channels will ensure that Cougs everywhere understand the impact that WSU has across the state and beyond, and that they feel connected to that mission. One of our greatest strengths is, of course, our volunteers. With more than 200 dedicated, amazing volunteers and board leaders nationwide, we have a network of passionate advocates who champion WSU every day. Through monthly newsletters and regular communication, these champions stay informed about the university's funding challenges and opportunities. Recent economic impact report is a powerful reminder of WSU's role in driving growth and innovation in Washington. We understand that sharing that message in that report with alumni and stakeholders is critical, and it will remain a top priority for our team. Another point of pride is how we continue to celebrate the achievements of our alumni, both current and future. Through programs like our Alumni Achievement Awards and Top 10 Seniors, we shine a spotlight on Cougs who are making a difference in their communities, their professions, and through their student journeys. These stories inspire pride and strengthen the bonds within our Cougar family. You will see a lot more about these moments of celebration for our alumni on social media this year. December capped a strong year for WSUAA. From the sold-out famous Idaho Potato Bowl pregame and game experience, which generated national exposure and connected thousands of Cougs coast to coast with watch parties, to partnerships with the Cougar Athletic Fund that elevated Made of Crimson basketball events in Spokane and Seattle, we have expanded athletics visibility and engagement in key markets. These efforts are creating momentum that will carry us into 2026. A little fun fact to share this morning, the pregame event in Boise was so popular that a very reliable source told me that even Utah State fans were trying to gain admittance to that party. It was the place to be. The WSUAA is not slowing down. This spring, we'll deepen alumni connections through programs like the popular Feast at Home, an online event that was initially held during the pandemic, featuring Cougar-connected culinary talent Megan Keno. Additionally, we will hold a virtual Alumni in AI career panel in collaboration with the Carson College of Business. This event will highlight not only how important AI is to future careers, but also what WSU is doing to prepare students for that world. We continue to prioritize investment in the engagement of our future alumni. This April, we will co-host our first annual senior send-off event, honoring graduating students and welcoming them into the alumni community, aiming to celebrate achievements, showcase alumni network benefits, and regional connection, collect post-graduation contact information and outcomes, and build momentum for life membership and future engagement. Our partners in this effort include the amazing team at the Academic Support and Career Center and our chapter leaders who will be in Pullman that week for our annual Volunteer Leadership Conference. I look forward to sharing outcomes with you later this spring. Regional events such as our upcoming Cougs of the Desert and last week's WSU in Hawaii will continue to align alumni engagement with enrollment and philanthropy priorities, critical to WSU's long-term success. I'd like to quickly thank Regents Shower and Cerna for supporting WSU in Hawaii, welcoming 300 future Cougs and our alumni community in Oahu. We also thank Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines for helping to sponsor this event. They were gracious enough to donate some round-trip tickets, which ended up being won by future students, prizes that I'm sure their families are very thankful for. Together, these initiatives highlight the WSU Alumni Association's crucial role in advancing WSU's reach, impact, and engagement throughout the state and beyond. I, my board, and our team look forward to building on this momentum and making 2026 a year of even greater impact for our Coug community. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you all in person in Vancouver in March. Go Cougs!
Go Cougs!
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you again for your leadership. Tracy is the president of the board of directors of the Alumni Association. Again, that's a volunteer body. And I normally start by kind of taking a lap around the room and thanking each of you as regents for your volunteer service to WSU. And earlier, Regent Ramos recapped your engagement beyond meetings. I think the amount of time and effort you have to put into just for these meetings is staggering. And then to hear where Regent Dickinson is, or where Regent Hussein, where each of you are throughout the course of a 3-month period. And I have to tell you, it's noticed. Our students, our alums, our donors, our prospective students, such as in Hawaii, take note when you are present. And so I just want to, again, extend my appreciation for all you are doing for WSU. And then I know Judy has left, but we can just make note. I'm grateful for Judy's service as well. An amazing start to the faculty regent. Normally I talk a little bit about the numbers. I'm a little bit hardwired that way as a fundraiser. We woke up this morning, private support of WSU, that's gifts, pledges, revocable testamentary commitments, and then private grants, 94.8 million. As we planned for the Regents meeting, somebody asked me, is that a record? And I said, we don't really keep track of a record midway through the third quarter of the game, if you will. And so it's, but we are on a record-setting pace. And so call me on July 15th when I have final numbers for June. But it has been a very, very, very good year, fiscal year to date in terms of fundraising at WSU. And I'm grateful, of course, to our donors, grateful to the other leaders at WSU, the campus leadership, college leadership, and folks in the other units like athletics and the libraries and the folks over in Schnitzer. It has just been a really, really strong year. It starts, of course, at the top. As we've again 10 months in, as we've continued to onboard the president. I'm grateful for her engagement in the philanthropic endeavor and the clear messages she's providing to our donors and prospective donors in terms of areas of critical importance to the university. And folks are responding. You heard it from John and his team yesterday. Athletics is having a really good year. 6 of our units have already hit their goal for the fiscal year. I've talked before, at times that's because
Goals were too low then.
a big gift, and I'll come around to a couple big gifts, but big gifts can impact numbers. You're exactly right, President Cantwell. We do have more than just a goal for each unit. They have goals in terms of how many donors they talk to, how many solicitations or proposals they put in front of prospective donors. So I should probably comment on that more than I do, in addition to the outcome side of things. But it's been a very strong year. Also, maybe just a quick update on our endowment. I don't have 12/31 numbers yet. The November 30 numbers, the endowment reached just a smidge over $860 million. Again, that's an all-time month-end high. We'll see if December sneaks past it. December's markets were a little bit flat, if you will. We did make some additions to the endowment. Obviously the endowment goes up if and when the market goes up, and then when we add to the endowment, our additions to the endowment. Last year, I'd mentioned it was our second best year ever for additions to the endowment. We have already surpassed last year's 12-month number in terms of additions to the endowment. As of 12/31, we'll add another $1.5 million at least next week. So in addition to, and endowment's part of fundraising, but it's nice when the endowment goes up, and it's nice when we have additions to the endowment. So I'm grateful for the investment committee's work. Regent Dickinson is our new regent representative. So thank you for your role and ongoing work in that space, as well as joining our board. And so there's just a lot of positive stuff happening in Washington State, and those things influence fundraising. I was standing courtside before tip-off last week, and I said, I can't remember a period in recent times where it seems like every day we read good news about WSU. I mean, look at this morning's paper, the Sunflare front page. Where's Kim? Well, Kim didn't share a bite. Chief Daniels did slice up her apple. And so it's nice to actually taste. And I said to a member of my team who helps with the social media stuff, I said, I can't believe I have to wait 3 more years probably to get another bite of a sunflower, but holy cow, that's good stuff.
On KXLY this morning of
Yeah.
It's good. A lot of media coverage.
Absolutely. And so the good news thing, I mean, it elevates everything, whether it's enrollment or fundraising, whatever it may be. And I think the other thing, and I know you all know this, but it bears reinforcement or repeating. Oftentimes higher ed is accused of being very siloed. But our work is so integrated. I mean, I talk to Pam, it feels like every day. And Mariah's on my team, KP and the provost have regular engagement. The way we're built, people on my teams have joint reports over to every campus, college, and unit. Glinda's team, we worked with them, and this potential legislation felt like it came out of the blue, but Chris, Connor, everybody leaned in, understood the issue, testified, and it's not fair to say we cleaned up, but we modified some legislation. So the team sport, Leslie regularly, Jennifer and I had a fascinating conversation yesterday. The required training at WSU is really time consuming, but as I said to Jennifer, there's some really good stuff in there. We heard from the president earlier today, but we've got some headwinds in the near term. Our ability to be good supervisors in this environment, navigating the space, the president talked about taking care of yourselves, taking care of your team, having a conversation with someone that's never laid off anybody because they're worried, how do I do this? I don't know who or when this is going to happen, but these people have never done this before. They don't have, and so leaning into the skills across the enterprise, working together, that also will elevate WSU. People want to support a winner. And so we're seeing it in real time right now. And I just want to make sure, I know you know this, but I just want to reinforce the value of it. Normally I talk about, and again, we heard from the president in terms of their incredible response to the Fan Experience Project, and that is moving forward. You've heard more than once about the importance of whether you call it NIL or Football Excellence Fund, but making sure Coach Moore and his staff have the resources to develop the best football team possible as we enter the new Pac-12 in July and start playing football in August. Other gifts, some of you may have seen this. We had a gift that wrapped up last fall. A couple, Lynn and Becky Miner up in Chewela, gave us their forest. We will keep this and utilize it as a learning lab outside of Chewela. These people spent 30 years taking what was really a not well-maintained piece of property. This story was in the Spokesman. It was in the Seattle Times. We heard from NPR. They may put it on one of their national shows. And so a gift of acreage, a forest, is a complex gift. And to do it well, satisfy what the donor wants to do. Working with Extension, we don't talk a lot about Extension, friendly reminder, they're in every county in Washington. So working with Extension, how can we utilize this in a manner that helps the citizenry of the county and beyond? And so big, complex, fun gift and wonderful recognition for WSU. Yesterday, you heard from Dean Karen Thomas Brown. Her team, Jennifer Dean is the lead development officer in the college. And frankly, even before Karen was here and before Jennifer was here, we've been working with former board chair of ours, Mark and Pat Sue, they were co-chairs of our board. They recently made 2 commitments. One is outright/pledge. The other is a revocable testamentary commitment to benefit Roar. And if you're not familiar with Roar, next time you're in Pullman, check out Roar. Chris and his family, of course, are really familiar with Roar. It is an incredibly impactful program. These commitments, both of which are north of 7 figures, will impact Roar. And so I'm just so pleased and proud of what is happening in the philanthropic space, the teamwork that's happening. Our board will convene again virtually in February. Our new leadership, they'll be their first meeting, Liz Pritchard. And again, Liz is a Coug from Ritzville, Washington, and Jack Pello, a Coug from Walla Walla, Washington. Jack now lives in Salt Lake, lives in central Michigan or northern Michigan. And so Cougs from around the country are fully engaged and committed to helping Washington State. And ultimately, I tend to finish by looking at Amita because you are Washington State today. And these people want to help you and your peers, the undergrads. They want to help the faculty members. So as I look at Tracy, knowing people want to enhance what's going on at Washington State. And ultimately, philanthropy is people helping something they're passionate about and believe deeply in. And it's just my absolute pleasure and honor to be involved in this role. So I want to say thank you all again. And that will conclude my comments, but I welcome any questions. And I see your hand, Regent. Wait, it's the chair's job to recognize this. My bad.
Feel free.
Can you, Mike, speak a little bit to how you might be organizing and aligning your team to what the president reviewed and the 6 priorities and structurally what that might look like then in the world of fundraising, just even incentive wise, like how do you get everybody aligned and in the right lanes with where the president and the leadership team is going? It's pretty concise and clear, but where are you at in that process?
Thank you, Marty. That's part of my comments I didn't get to. So it's like you read my notes. So just a quick refresher in terms of structure. Our model is commonly referred to as a centralized, decentralized model. The decentralized is that we have development officers in every campus, college, and unit. And then as we get to know President Cantwell, work with university leadership on institutional priorities, 6 strategic pillars, and where does philanthropy fit in? I just did a reorg of my team. As you've heard loud and clear, the importance of philanthropic support to Cougar Athletics. So normally we'd be set up so that the lead athletic development officer would report into a member of my team who would then report to me. That's their dotted line. We took all of that out. That team now reports directly to me. I wanted that level of alignment with President Cantwell's priorities. Okay. Adam Ganders, who used to be a member of the athletic department and development team there. It's not fair to say I stole Adam, but I recruited Adam. Adam is now on my team. He's very familiar with WSU. He's a WSU alum. He's worked here a number of years. Very familiar with our athletic priorities. Adam reports directly to me. He's embedded in our principal giving team with Victoria. And then I said, okay, Adam, you are the lead on presidential priorities. So when we talk about priorities being what's going on in athletics, we talk about where we headed in the capital space, integrated sciences building. You know, as we look at the scholarship piece or both recruitment and retention, those will be Adam's 3 areas of priority. And so we are nimbly trying to rotate the machine a little bit to align with the president's and the institutional priorities. It's a work in process, Regent Dickinson, a work in progress. And I think there'll be continued refinement, but we are working to make those strategic realignments so that it does match up with where the institution is heading. And the other thing, and I didn't mention this, but I will, you know, we are studying, you know, and early in the implementation of, you know, how is it AI can help us do our work better? And I'm old school. This is people business, but there's ways technology can help us be more efficient. Brad Hutchins and I spent a minute talking about it yesterday. Don Shear and I'll be visiting with some colleagues next week who are utilizing some of the technology out there differently and better than we are. I don't know how many of you either listened on tape or watched live at the directors forum that the university pulled together last week. But when the boss says you should use AI every day, give that some thought. And that was her message. And it wasn't to her direct reports. It's to every director at WSU. Figure out how to use this every day or your skills will atrophy if you ever had them. If you want to get better at something, do it every day. And so that message was heard by my team. And how are you using it? Are you using it differently yesterday than today? So I think a little bit of all that, Regent Dickinson. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Other questions?
Thank you for the energy and the really passionate report, Mike.
Great to see you. Thank you, Regent. Thank you all. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. That was a whisper. Say it louder.
Me? Well, all of us.
Just kidding.
Go Cougs.
All right. Go Cougs. Thank you. That concludes our shared governance reports, and we're going to move into our consent agenda. We have one item on the consent agenda before us today, approval of the minutes from the November 14th, 2025 meeting. These items were included in your meeting packet for review. Would any regent like to remove either item from the consent agenda? Okay. So hearing no request for removal, I move to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those vote in favor, say yay.
Aye.
One day we'll get that right. Those against. Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda are our committee reports. I gave you a little bit of context earlier. This is second day of our 2-day process. And so the action items that are presented before us today, we will have already discussed in large part yesterday. So it will seem to move quickly, but that is by design. And as a reminder, the committee meetings and the past Board of Regents meetings are available on YouTube or our website if you would like to review them further. So I will provide the first report from the Executive and Governance Committee, which again meets essentially every other week in between our sessions here. There is one action item from yesterday's discussion, and that is essentially to vote for the Board of Regents 2027 meeting schedule. And I hope you had a chance to check your personal calendars. I know that it was a dynamic time for us to adjust 2026 schedule, so I appreciate your flexibility. But for this particular motion, I move that the Board of Regents approve the schedule for the 2027 Board of Regents meetings and delegate authority to the president of the university or her designee to select and designate appropriate meeting places, establish meeting times, establish the agenda in coordination with us, and prepare the agenda items. Also to dispatch all official notices to meet the state Open Public Meetings Act or other notice requirements, publish minutes and maintain records of meetings, and take other necessary action as required for the orderly conduct of our board meetings. And again, the why behind that is not just because we want to comply, but because we are really efforting to be transparent with all this substantive work that's happening across the university. So that is the motion. Anyone want to second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, yes, Regent is saying.
Maybe just a comment that I wanted to relay from students about scheduling specifically. Was informed that based on obviously the locations of our different campuses, it's difficult for students to show up, difficult for community members to show up. So what I garnered from my discussion with students recently is that they want to maintain or make sure that we're traveling to as many campuses as we can. Obviously, it's not easy, so maybe just for future reference, just saying that it would be very important and allow us to accommodate the student populations a bit more.
That's great feedback. Appreciate that, Regent is saying. Okay, any other questions or discussion? So for the motion to adopt the 2027 meeting schedule, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We have a 2027 calendar now. And that concludes my executive and governance committee report. I'm going to turn it over to Regent Cerna, our vice chair, who will now provide the Strategic and Operations Excellence Committee report.
Thank you, Chair Ramos. We have two information items that we heard yesterday, so this will be a sort of short report. President Cantwell presented an update on key performance indicator progress supporting the 6 strategic pillars approved by the board at our September meeting. We also heard from Chief Compliance and Risk Officer Charles Kammerzell presented an update on enterprise risk management portfolio. We had no future action reviewed or no action items to present for a vote, and that concludes my report.
Wow, less than 60
I told
seconds.
you.
I wasn't
Hey.
prepared for less than 60 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I will note that, part of our process here is governance, and we do a mid-year performance review with the president. And just, again, with great transparency, the KPIs in the president's report are the substance matters that we utilize for the mid-year performance report. We will also have an annual review with her later in the year. But that was some of the substance yesterday as well. Thank you, Regent Cerna. Next we have, let's see. Regent Wright is not with us today. Unfortunately, he's at a memorial. So if we could proceed with Regent Klein for our Finance and Administration Committee report.
Thank you. There are a number of different issues that we discussed yesterday to report on. These again are all part of the public record and reported. So if there are any questions or comments and you want to review those, please do feel free to address them to the committee. First, our information items. There are 4. Chief Audit Executive Heather Lopez provided the internal audit update and gave us a planning schedule for updates in fiscal year 2026. Executive Vice President for Finance and Operations and Chief Financial Officer Leslie Brunelli, Vice President of Finance and Business Services Matt Skinner, Executive Director and Controller Angie Dobbins. We're joined by Kristen Diggs to present the fiscal year 2025 financial results, key trends, and the university debt report. So again, this is a long report, topic of discussion. Vice President for External Affairs and Government Relations, Glenda Fenter, Vice President for Research, Kim Kristen, presented updates on the impact of federal and state legislative activity and federal actions on research funding. Again, we had a report from CFO Brunelli and from Interim Director of Athletics, John Harlow, as well as Executive Senior Associate Director of Athletics and Chief Revenue Officer Brad Hutchins and Deputy Director of Athletics Brad Corbin. So hopefully I'm getting everyone's titles correct. They presented the financial education piece on the Cougar Athletics and name, image, and likeness, and did this educationally for the board. There were a number of future action items. There were 12. I will try to go through them as quickly as I can. We've also discussed that some of these may in the near future become part of the consent agenda as appropriate, as directed by Regents. First, again, CFO Brunelli, Mr. Skinner, and Provost Chris Riley Tillman presented the academic year 2026-27 tuition rates for professional programs. Second, we had a presentation on the WSU Pullman housing and dining rates for the academic year 2026 and 27, and the service activity fee rates for the same time and allocation of those fees for summer 2026 and the upcoming academic year. So again, that will be coming back. We had a conversation about the WSU Pullman mandatory student fee rates for the Chinook Student Center, Compton Union Building Student Recreation Center, and Cougar Health Services. Again, a majority of these fees are recommended and determined by student input and student governance. We had another discussion regarding the WSU Pullman Undergraduate Technology Fee Committee allocations for fiscal year 2027. We had a presentation from Dr. Sandra Haynes, from CFO Brunelli, and I think it was just the two of you, correct? On the WSU Vancouver Technology Fee Committee allocations for fiscal year 2027. And finally, we had a presentation from Ms. Brunelli, from Olivia Yang, and from Provost Riley Tillman and the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture Dean to present the WSU Pullman Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture Schweitzer Engineering Hall project budget, both design and discussion about what would entail. There were questions and comments from the board. We proceeded to just one action item, which is the WSU investment policy. That is the remaining action item from yesterday's discussion, and that comes before the board today for a vote. So again, I would like to have it noted for the record that this item is being presented as an action item rather than a future action item in accordance with the Board of Regents bylaws. I would like to then move that the Board of Regents approve the WSU investment policy as a new policy within the University Policy and Procedures Manual and delegate authority to the president or her designee to approve changes to the policy, except for material changes, including changes to investment strategy, performance standards, policy objectives, or policy scope. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment that really want to thank CFO Leslie Brunelli and her whole team to really look across the system on policy gaps and strengthen our governance foundation. It's you know, showing up in clean audits. It's showing up in all of the integrity checks that we have across all of our system. And I just want to say thank you. So, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? The motion carries. We have a new policy for Washington State University. Another policy. Okay, well.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes our
Regent
report.
Wright. We will share that with Regent Wright. You did an excellent job. Thank you so much. In other business, yesterday, January 22nd, the Regents met in executive session to discuss with legal counsel litigation or potential litigation and to review the performance of a public employee per our revised Code of Washington 42.30.110. There's no action to be brought forward before the board as a result of these discussions. We are just about to adjourn, but I just have to say a couple comments. In the last 48 hours, we've been here in community and we've seen great evidence of just the vigorous activation of strategies that will take us forward in the future, modernizing the land-grant university. And I think you'll see that not only is there great and deep competency, but great character in every leader that has come before us. And you can see that it's really not just the brilliant minds that they bring, but the heart. And so when you think about character and competence, that's going to build trust throughout all of our communities. And we love equally our academics, our athletics, our extension, and all the pieces that make the system. So I know for me, I'm inspired. I'm full of gratitude. Together we will go far. This is a team sport. We used to say this in Boeing every time we built a 747, it takes 6 million parts and 70 countries. It's a team sport to put an airplane together. And my analogy to running and leading Washington State University is that level of complexity and advancement. And so I thank the president, President Cantwell, our provost, our executive vice presidents who are here, and all of the leadership and shared governance leaders for making it a successful meeting to begin the year. So we'll see you all again in March. Thanks again and safe travels. That concludes our session.
Go Cougs.